please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We move off script, and I'd like to welcome our new member, Jeremy Tillman.
Hello.
Board.
Thank you.
Officially. So I appreciate your willingness to serve on the board, and very excited to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Pleasure.
Speech? I can go on for hours.
and that, of course, we let Jay Alverstack go. He finally figured out a way to get away. So after many years of excellent service, I know that the authority is doing something to recognize his tenure, and the mayor's office might be as well. So gone, but not forgotten. He's still to be around, but just not serving on the board. So we wanted to just mention that his excellent service and his wisdom. Item B on our agenda is the consent agenda, which includes the approval agenda items itself, and of course the minutes from the January 8th meeting. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Item number 2, citizens' comments. Are there any citizens to be heard? Mr. Crenshaw, good afternoon.
Afternoon. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 5 board members? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Could pass those to the board members. I would appreciate it.
Are those your vacation slides? No,
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Good time. It's where we're gonna have a good time. Just the board members need them. Yes, those that are part of the Redevelopment Authority that sent out the notice, the director and council, they're well aware of what I just gave you. But what I'd like to ask is from the board members that at some point, without council and without director, just the board members to sit down and have a communication with me of 50 years in this community building and doing, just to talk about some things I feel that we need to talk about. No legal counsel is necessary. We're not going to be asking you to take legal issues. I'm addressing the board. I do not. I can ask what I can ask. Eugene, I can talk to anybody here that if they want to talk to me. They don't have to have you beside them to talk. I'm not talking logistics
Point of order,
as I
Mr.
just
Crenshaw.
stated.
We will not raise our voices. This is a civil.
Well, I'm not raising my voice. I'm just voicing strongly how I feel. And I would just like, Chuck, you and I go back 40 plus years. If you and I can't talk without counsel, I think something's wrong.
Certainly.
So if you choose not to, I would just like it to go on record that I'd like to communicate, because there's several millions of dollars of funds just recently announced to come into our city. And I would just like to know if it's the board's vision to see an authority do certain things with these funding opportunities. That's it. Now, we'll discuss the matter at hand, Eugene, if you don't mind then. And that is when we met last month and we all talked, and Eugene, you addressed me outside personally, directly, all over. Dawn, let's talk. Let's work together. You shook my hand. And I said, okay, let's talk. Outside of us just talking, the piece of property and what's in front of you is a house that was condemned to be on the blight list. And I've asked several times for the code violations and what do I need to do to get it off the blight list. We had it before a judge. Judge Pizzanitti said, I'm going to put this on a stay. This is a stay I'm no longer going to be addressing this kind of, I feel, foolishness is what I'm saying, not the judge. That this foolishness of the redevelopment, taking properties with zero value, condemning them to tear down. The property that's in front of you, the first picture I would just like to address, that is 322, 324 East 22nd Street. The picture you see there is as of November. I have several other pictures I can show you that shows renovation has been going on this house for some time now. The second picture that you see is the same house as of November being all completed exterior. If you look, there's a electrical box there. You go to the third picture, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures. First picture again is a front view looking north. Second one is a front picture looking north a little more to the east. The third picture on the top right is looking north again at the house. I would like to note the greenhouse right next to that was started the same time I started renovating this house. It's on the market. It was listed for $150,000, and they have an offer on it. But I just wanted to note there's other document and pictures where this house had garbage in the back of it from the day they started renovating. No code violations, no nothing. But mine's right next to it, which is 324. It's got this blight issue. So if you look at the 3 permits on the lower left-hand picture, those are a building permit, a plumbing permit, electrical permit, and there's a big orange stock work order that the city issued because I was told that someone from the redevelopment authority said they get to control what goes on in this house, that Aaron said he was out of town, he doesn't want us to keep working on it, so they put a stop work order on it. So we stopped working on it, but as you can see, the house exterior, new windows, new doors, new front porch, $50,000 of renovation. If the redevelopment's goal is to fix up properties, keep them on the tax rolls, I'm here to do that. If you also look to the next page after this, is the notice that was received from the Marsh Schaaf attorney, and it's dated on the 26th of June. This was condemned and a zero value on this piece of property. There's no one sitting up there that can say there's a zero value on the house that I just showed you the pictures of. And there's $50,000 worth of renovation. I ask you, Redevelopment Authority, the road that you're going down, and I don't know why I got pulled into it. Yeah, I do know why. Because all the other poor people in the town, or the people that don't have the funding to fight, they're not going to do anything, but I assure you I will. I will do something. And at the end of the day, my goal is to do what I've been doing for over 40 years, and that's make affordable housing available to people that need it. And shame on you for when somebody's out here trying to renovate a property, bring it into code compliance, and you take the property yourself and you determine it to be a zero value. Come on, guys, what's this world coming to? I hope we're better than the way the board is acting. I know we're better than what actions have been taken as the Redevelopment Authority's board. The other individuals that's involved, I don't know, because I've tried to communicate with them, I've called them, we've talked to them. Yeah, I guess now it's about legal having to be involved. I even said, let's waive legal, let's talk. Your counsel, as he sits here, he had stated, he shook my hand the last meeting and said, let's talk, Don, let's work it out. So I'm here to ask that you really serious look at what's going on. If you're taking people's property, and some of them may not have the wherewithal to renovate it and do what needs to be done. I've shown you, I've done it. We're doing more. But you guys got to operate and cooperate with us. Redevelopment Authority received, what, $16 million? It took 2 years to really get it out on the street, and programs just recently, last week, to be announced on how it can be used. But yet, I'm supposed to jump, I guess, like that and do stuff. When I received some same funding just December, which is part of this, we have a history with agencies of fixing up housing. We have agencies that says, Dawn, you're doing a great job. Why can't I get any support here?
Don, thank you. Your 5 minutes has it passed. I
And
appreciate
I
your
thank you for
information.
watching that clock and making sure I didn't extend it, but I still say, work with me, Chuck. You've been doing this too long. You know what's going on is wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens to be heard? Hearing none, I'll move on to item C, the finance report.
Yes, so in front of you, you have your balance sheet, the profit and loss, and then a list of the checks that were dispersed for January. So on the profit and loss statement, I just wanted to show, so the revenue was showing 252,000. That was income that was drawn down from the Healthy Homes Grant for a little over 131,000. There were a lot of projects that were wrapped up and requisitioned for on that. We were reimbursed for 3 different Act 137 rehabs and 2 months worth of Erie Land Bank, so that was about $40,000 as well.
Were there any questions on any of the balance sheet or the operating statements? Or the check details? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the financial reports as presented? Is there a second?
Second.
All's in favor? Aye. On to item D. First item is the solicitor's report. Mr. Sundberg.
You have in front of you the memorandum that you have of the various properties and the activities associated with all those properties to give you an overview as to where we are and ultimately where we're going with all of them. We have made some progress on a number of those properties, some of which are coming off of the list. With regard to the property that was discussed as part of citizens' comments, I'm going to provide the board that is information that's appropriate that individual communication as suggested by the citizen. More than happy to provide the board with detailed outline with regard to that, where we stand with that property.
Thank you.
And so, with that, I wanted to provide you with the memorandum for you to be able to take a look at the issues and the properties that we're continuing to work on and addressing. If there's any questions, by all means, you can, again, it's a lot of information in a short amount of time. So if you have a question at any time, if you want to shoot me an email, that's the easy way to do it. An issue or a property that pops up that you have wanted to circle back on. That you wanted to circle back on, by all means, please do that.
Gene, one question. With respect to the 324 East 22nd Street, Mr. Crenshaw indicated that the property is currently, there's a pending stay. Is that correct?
That is not correct. There was the initial filing. I'll have to look at that. I know that there was an initial filing on the condemnation. I'm trying to reflect as to what issue, if any, came up on preliminary objections. I don't remember any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We held at the point of, it was scheduled for a hearing of value, and we pulled it from that docket at that
Right.
time.
Yeah. So that second step process on the hearing of value is where we stopped at. So there is a stay, or it's being held in limbo to determine how best to proceed forward with that valuation hearing. Again, what's important for the board to understand is that the valuation is at the time of the filing, the initial filing. That's when the appraisal is done, and that's when the value is placed on it. Okay?
I'm gonna pause. Is Eva still with us? I can't tell. I just want to make sure that there were any technical difficulties if you wanted to participate. Okay.
Thank you for keeping that.
So I won't have to ask if he has any questions. Okay, or questions or comments. Okay. Just want to be a good facilitator here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Clever, thank you. Appreciate that. Item number 2 is the property report.
Or my mic on there for you. All right, so in front of you is the property activity report from August 2023 through January of 2024, identifying properties in which condemnation acquisition process was completed, along with properties that were acquired on behalf of the East Bayfront Greenway Trail project. So there are properties that we negotiated private sales on, along with a list of properties that we utilized a contingent sales agreement with the land bank to option off the judicial tax sale. There's also property disposition. We have some pending sales agreements, and we're working with Gene and his team to get those finalized. And then part 5, as far as blighted properties, since August, 37 additional properties have been declared blighted. 17 have had blight rescission. And there are 266 current properties with an active blight declaration. So that is the property report, and there's a resolution for the boards.
I have just one question. 612 West 16th Street. That's a familiar property for a couple reasons. One is used to be a Hans property, so I still remember all my property lists. And I know that there's a buyer that's interested in that one. That's been hanging out there for a couple of years almost. Is there?
Yes, so there is approximately 21 properties in the Redevelopment Authority's inventory dating from roughly 2005 to 2009 that entered the condemnation process and through that had value. And at the time, the Redevelopment Authority didn't have the funds to satisfy the just compensation orders on those properties. So those properties have sat in limbo since that time. I'm working with Gene and Mel to work through that. They've reached out to Mr. Ledselter at the Tax Claim Bureau.
Okay.
We're going to be working on a resolution to City Council and work it through the tax exoneration abatement process to get the taxes cleared on those properties and be able to finally move forward with conveyance on those. There's that property along with several others that we have really under dollar lease agreements to adjoining property owners.
I see.
Because there was no real push for anybody to clear that in the past. So we're going to work this year to get that taken care of.
Is this a vacant lot?
It is a vacant
Okay,
lot.
so it would no longer 3 units.
No longer 3 units. And all of those ones would legal. They were all demolished. The
Okay.
sites were all
I
restored.
see.
They are vacant lots that
All
the
right.
authority's just been mowing for well over 10 years.
Okay.
So,
So we have a huge incentive to keep those
Yes,
moving. However,
yes.
there's the technical and the clerical work that has to be done to
yeah.
put in the title.
Right, and I think, right now with the authority's current capacity and staffing abilities, that we can move those forward at a time when we were short-staffed and could not,
Okay.
so.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry, that just jumped off the page at me. So
He's been phenomenal in the past year, so.
perfect. And we have a resolution to accept the property report as presented. Is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right. Mr. Snippet, if you want to give us some updates.
All right, so I'll hold on the rehabilitation report and kind of touch on that during unfinished business. But just some general updates. Baker Tilly, as the board members met with them last week. They were here for 2 days last week, completed their visit, came back in on Wednesday morning, with a pretty good game plan of how they plan to move forward. They left Erie, provided us a list of roughly about 15 documents, 15 things that they wanted, many documents involved in that. So we've uploaded those to their Huddle site. They have a plan to come back to Erie around the second week of March to continue on with this process. They're also going to work with their audit team, who is helping us clear up some of the issues we have with tracking our properties and how those should be identified and tracked within the authority's books. So the next month is going to be fairly busy on April's side and mine as we answer their questions and continue to provide them information. But I think very positive, meeting. Good group of individuals who came in to meet with us, and I think we can certainly move forward the way I've kind of wanted to for a while to get that financial processes in order and clear up some of the stuff and assist April in trying to make things run as smoothly as possible. So, any questions on that?
No, I appreciate the update. It's a lot of heavy lifting to be done, but it's got to be done right.
Right, and so
I appreciate that.
And I guess one thing I've noted here, Blackbaud is on hold. The implementation and startup of Blackbaud, the plan is for basically a July 1st, but that will go. I was certainly going to talk with Rory, the team lead from Baker Tilly, to provide the board with an update at every board meeting until such time as they've basically completed their process, just to kind of give you all an overview of where they're at and what our next steps are.
What impact, if any, are you anticipating with our audit? And forgive me, I serve on several boards. This is a June 30th, or is this a December 31st?
December 31st.
So we've closed our fiscal year. And
Yeah. We'll be working with an auditing firm to complete the audit. The biggest thing, and that's the one thing where we're really hoping on this audit team to come in, is clear up a lot of the questions and issues we have with our properties and how they show on our balance sheet. And so there's definitely some best practices. I know we talked with Cuyahoga County, and they did basically, it was one time, clear them off their books and move forward. So it's just kind of a through the years, and every finance director that's been there has tracked our properties differently. So we finally have the ability to utilize that consultant to get the best practice that we need, so that we know we're doing it right. And it'll certainly clear up a lot of the questions on our auditors' end when it comes to why is this property valued at X and this property is valued at Y. And, so it's just over the years, it was done several different ways. And so we're finally going to be able to clean that up.
we're using the same audit firm going forward for this year?
Yes, Felix and Glucker is
Yeah.
currently under contract for
Okay.
one more year.
Perfecto.
so-
And have they been asked, or are they willing to work with Blackbaud and Baker Tilly to kind of weigh in on anything, or?
They have, we briefed them on our purchase and implementation of Blackbaud. We have not connected them with
Okay.
Baker Tilly at this point. They're still kind of digging in onto our initial documentation.
Yeah, I mean, certainly through their reviews in the past couple of years, they probably have a little file on.
Right, yeah, and I think that's
on
where
what to do differently, perhaps, or
yeah,
suggestions.
the audit team is going to engage with them
Perfect.
to try to clear up some of what their issues were, because, now Baker Tilly, acting as our consultant, will be able to decipher what they need us to do, and we'll be able to make those corrections and move forward with that.
Okay, excellent.
All right, so RACP. So I know I mentioned, I believe back in November, that EMTA sent a letter stating that they were out of utilizing the RACP funds. I spoke with Chuck Peters, who EMTA has contracted with his firm as a consultant on this project. They spoke too soon. They need our funding. They need the funding that was originally going to be utilized for the parking garage improvements. Kind of goes back to the September meeting I had with our consultant for the RACP, where we're going to kind of work to combine segment 3 and segment 5 and retool it with their funding that they have from the federal government to do the build out on the parking garage. So EMTA is back on the table. They're going to get together some initial proposals as far as what that combined segment 3, segment 5 looks like, and kind of move forward. There were just some shortcomings, I think, in some of the transitions years ago during the parking garage construction that let some language out of some documents. So the firms that did the work weren't quite required to provide the RACP documentation. So We're going to clear that up, move forward with the build out of the parking garage, and so I'll have some more information for the board on that in the coming months. The PA chapter, or the American Planners Association PA chapter, is having their conference in Erie, October 13th through the 15th at the Bayfront Convention Center. So there's a call out for presenters and walking tours. So we're certainly going to look to put together some presentations like we did last year in Scranton and in Homes Within Reach, and maybe possibly some walking tours of East Bayfront Greenway and some others. So we're going to meet with the planning department and kind of strategize on what we could potentially, put forth to showcase Erie while they're here in town. So
Is that a membership organization? I'm not familiar. Are they a membership organization of planning professionals?
yes.
Somebody here
Yeah,
part of
it's
it?
like a chapter. So there's a National Planning
Oh,
Association.
excellent. Yeah.
And there's PA chapters. This is the PA chapter. It was here 5 years ago
Okay.
at the conference. This year it was in Scranton,
Mhm.
or last year, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's our regional planners association.
Excellent. Oh,
Good organization to be.
Yeah. And so,
let's put on the show then.
Yes,
we got
show
and,
off
and,
Erie.
and then on
some
that,
guests in town. Absolutely.
yes, and then same on that, the PARA Annual Conference and Awards is going to be in Erie on October 27th through the 30th at the Bayfront Convention Center. So we're going to attend the spring conference in May in Bethlehem, and hope to work with them to help build that conference in Erie, and again, work with them to have some.
And if there's a social invitation that you'd like to invite your board members to, I'm sure that we would gladly accept
We will certainly keep the board in the loop of all.
or even if there may be an appropriate workshop or something like that, but certainly a social invitation.
Right.
Would be
So, yeah, more information on those going forward. The Erie Land Bank met last week, and I think this is kind of, relative to the Redevelopment Authority to discuss some shortfalls in our developer agreements when we convey a property for development. I think we had a very productive meeting with a lot of good ideas that we're going to put together for the Land Bank Board, but also I think, given that now the authority is having a lot of properties we're going to put out for developer agreements, I'm going to work to bring those over into some policies and procedures for the Redevelopment Authority so that we can kind of model and maintain the same continuity of the two different entities, conveying properties to developers, so that we kind of have that as much teeth in the project as we can to make sure that we get to completion. That's been our issue currently, is getting these projects to the finish line, and the developers kind of just ceasing to operate after we convey the property. So that's, I think, some positive momentum there. East Bayfront Greenway Trail RFP for landscapers was extended to February 22nd. I did do some national reach and have in the last 2 days received several emails from different organizations, companies that are interested in putting in a proposal for that. So that's positive news that we'll look to have those landscape architect proposals on February 22nd. And to that, also the call for artists closed February 9th, which I'd say we got a decent response to. 9 proposals. So we'll be reviewing those later this week, so that once we have that landscape architect, we can kind of put the two together and go forward with that. ENGP, emails included in the back of your packet, just some more information on that meeting coming up, I believe, next Tuesday at 6:30. And then the last thing I have is that we have a contract extension from City DECD, CDBG contract extension for the authority's home inspection services to work with the home investment partnership rehab funds, as the authority provides the inspection, lead testing, and ultimate construction management on those projects to the city of Erie. So we have that contract to sign, so we can continue performing that services for up until June 30th of this year. So that is all I have.
Okay. On to item E, unfinished business. Number 1 is the ARB housing program update.
All right. So I kind of provided the quarterly report that we provide to the city for the ARPA funds. Just kind of outlines where we're at, what's been going on, where we are 2 years into this funding, but as with anybody who's operated a federal program, standing up programs from scratch is not an easy task, and I think we're doing fairly well at it. We have allocated approximately about 50 to 60% of our funding across all categories. as far as identifying individuals and resources. The RFP for the new production, is out. We received multiple responses last week, so we have those to review. So in all, I think, we're moving forward with this. The funding had to be allocated by December of 2024. That will be done, and it has to be fully expended by December 31st of 2026. So we still have, at this point, little under 3 years to get that money completely spent. So we're well on track to have that spent at least, sometime probably early December of 2026 if all goes well. So I think we have everything in the pipeline and everything in line to make all of those programs as successful as we had hoped in the onset. And then just kind of the rehabilitation report in there, kind of it outlines the Healthy Homes program, which is an ARPA housing plan funded program, along with all of the other housing rehab programs that the authority is administering. The lead hazard control program, which is going pretty good. We do have, and Holly's dealt with quite a few elevated blood lead level children in the recent weeks, which is surprising, but certainly something we're well versed at taking care of and working with those agencies to get those kids and their housing needs taken care of as quickly as possible. County rehabilitation, Act 137, there's a need in the county, and we certainly see that, and we have plenty of applications. So we're more applications than we do funding. So still working with the county to try to get that 2023 Act 137 contract, get that moving forward. And the whole home repair program, working on getting some clarification from the county on opening up some of the tiered system so that we can kind of broaden our reach and work into some of that tier 2 area. We're kind of initially held into the boroughs within our service area. We want to stretch that out into the townships that surround those so that we can fulfill the overall need of the county.
And Jessica Horan still kind of oversees the whole
Yes.
thing, and so she'll help work through those details.
Oh yeah, she's been great. She's however got a very young staff, just like she's kind of struggling with the same thing the authority has. Young staff, bringing them up to speed and doing a very good job at it. But it's just slow going as you bring new staff members up to speed with where programs are. So I think we're doing a good job, and certainly continue to work for making it better. So that was the ARPA funds. The loan programs, we issued the letter to Ironworks Square project for that loan. Also working with the mortgage office to get our custom loan application coded into the software so that when an individual applies online, we'll be able to port that right into our formatted application and be able to get that program here. I think she's working out some kinks, so we're looking at probably here in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be able to get the loan programs
and I know that
up and running.
And I know that Ethan had a drop off. I think he wanted to review with that particular loan or something.
Yes.
So
yeah.
did he have an opportunity or
Not yet?
will he?
Not yet. We're just kind of waiting on that to get finalized, so then we can
That's really
ship it over to him to take a look at it. So
that's him. That's all him. So
Yeah.
that'd be great. Perfect. Thank you. Utilize your board members.
Oh, absolutely.
With their strengths. That's not my strength. Send it right over to him. All right. And I guess number 2 then is the new news.
Right. Yeah. The new housing production proposals. Last Tuesday, we received 6 proposals. I did put those into a Dropbox link and sent those out last week. So there is some differences between them. If you did have a chance to go through them, I think they did listen to the main points within the RFP, and so I think we have what we need. So really, we're at this point in next steps, and I think kind of want to discuss that with you at this time of what you feel. My thought is certainly I think we need to schedule some time to sit down and kind of go through them, lay them out, what we have. I'm going to do that before that and kind of get a summary to the board members, but I think we need to do that. But I also kind of feel as if we invite the individuals who put proposals in, kind of give them a brief chance to discuss with the board what their overall plan is, as we deliberate and try to look at how we move forward. The proposals well exceed the amount of funding that we have to allocate, but there are some very good projects within that portfolio of proposals.
Oh, I think we all would welcome that conversation, and because it's a dynamic process, and we'll hear information from developers that may not have been considered, or maybe could be considered in the future or something. So as we all, improve our bench strength, I think that would be good to have those conversations then.
Okay, so we'll, I'll have Cynthia work, we'll find a day, we'll get a date scheduled that works for everybody, afternoon, early evening, whatever works, and we'll get the proposal individuals in here to speak on their proposals, and then we can move forward at that point.
All right, is there any other unfinished business? Any new business? Our next meeting is March 11th. I will not be here. I've got a work conference and I'm actually in session, so I can't even zoom in. So who's our next in line? Is that Mr. Nelson?
Nope, Miss Carey.
Oh,
It was my first meeting, and I think I got.
oh, that's right, that's right. Welcome to the redevelopment.
Yeah, we were fortunate that Jay just held the seat of Assistant Secretary Treasurer, so, he was preparing his time out.
So Aaron will chair. Do we assign Jeremy something?
We
Knower
could,
of all good things.
I mean, we could open it up. He can just assume the role of Assistant Secretary Treasurer, as that is the only open seat at the current time until our annual meeting in August, so.
Probably would make sense to appoint in case, we need that capacity real fast or something.
Okay, yeah, we can certainly do that at the next board meeting.
Okay.
Have that on the
Do you
agenda
want-
for an
do you
appointment.
Oh, no, I do not mind.
Assistant
That's
Secretary Treasurer.
That'll be good, just in case, you never know when there's an urgent business and somebody's not available.
fine. Need to know the line of succession.
We have to keep things moving here, so. And I know then on the 13th, and I will, even though I'm out of town, I will be able to make that at 2:00. We have the session with Infinite Erie, I think.
Yeah, I gotta ask for some clarification. That, it shows up on my calendar as March 13th.
Yeah, March 13th.
Yeah, so
So I was
I
mistaken.
thought it was,
Oh, it was all,
okay.
it was all me, bad behavior, all me not being able to see or trying to do two things. I thought it was the week of February. It was March, so when we were in the meeting and I was trying to.
Yeah, we were
get the
trying
date
to think it
because
was
it's
for
last
today.
Next week, I saw the date, the week of the 10th or whatever, and I didn't see the word March. Although it jumped right off the page after I put that in again. So it is,
yeah.
when we were scrambling through my own fault, that's the meeting.
Mm,
So.
Okay.
And I think that you had already circulated some information electronically about the
yes,
meeting.
yes.
And I think that there's going to be a refresher based on Anna and Kim's presentation.
Yeah, they're supposed to be forwarding over their finalized plan with budgets. I mean, the one that I had distributed to everybody had older budgets in it, and so
Yeah.
they would really
So
fine tune
we'll
those.
probably get something towards the end of February. I'm
Yeah.
imagining them to be circulated here for that meeting.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to hear what that plan is shaping up to be. We might have an opportunity to invest in another large scale project.
Absolutely.
Which is exciting.
Yeah.
All right, so that's just it for me. Any other business before we adjourn? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
I'll second.
And we'll adjourn at 3:40. Have a good afternoon.